Are you ready?
Hello, and welcome to the Whole House Podcast, where we promise to bring you home, health, and family all in one place. We're a blog team trying our hand at podcasting, and we like to compare our different purposes and giftings and strengths to the rooms in a house. Together, we make up the whole house. So grab a cup of coffee and join our overly caffeinated team here for the Whole House Podcast. Hi, and welcome to the Whole House Podcast. We're here today. It's Carly,
Amory, Kathleen,
and Lori, over the phone.
Speakerphone. And today we're affectionately calling our podcast, If You Give a Mom a Hammer. And we're going to talk about teaching yourself new skills.
woohoo!
Yes.
Fun stuff.
I like to say that I'm like an amateur at everything and an expert at nothing.
Yeah,
Right.
A jack of all
trades,
Yep.
master of none.
Yeah.
Yep, that's me. I kind of made a little list of categories that I have taught myself new skills. You guys can add to it if you want.
Okay.
But I've taught myself new skills in regards to my home, like home projects, cooking, and hobbies.
Yes. I would say that I've taught myself new skills when it comes to doing projects around the house. Also, when it comes to teaching and writing, I'm always learning in those areas, even though they don't, well, sometimes they require a hammer if you get really mad at your computer or your
My
printer.
dad's done that before. He literally hits computers with hammers.
I've learned new skills with all of those things, with the home and the cooking and the hobbies. I think with beauty, learn new skills in that area. And with things like, I guess included in home is like yard work and growing and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I taught myself how to quilt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have taught myself how to sew.
Yeah. Well, Girl Scouts taught me how to sew a button, but I figured out the rest.
Yeah. Well, and so I want to jump right into a couple ways I have learned new things, good tips for how you could learn how to do new things. My number one thing has been learning from my grandparents.
Yeah.
Or just older people. And my grandpa has taught me all kinds of stuff, like woodworking and canning.
Yes, canning.
He has an accidental amazing strawberry patch. I mean, just
Oh my goodness.
incredible things that we don't learn unless we go seek that knowledge from someone else.
Right. That's what I was saying before the podcast. I've learned a lot. I learned a lot from my mom, and it's interesting because at the time I was learning those things in high school, I didn't realize that other people weren't learning them because we were stripping mantles of pink paint and stripping baseboards and painting other furniture and taking wallpaper off walls, and because we had bought a real fixer-upper farmhouse when my stepfather retired from the military, and we fixed it up, and I spent a lot of my time after school working beside my mom doing those kinds of things.
Me too.
Wow!
Isn't that amazing?
I passed it on to you.
I know. I thought of another area too that I've taught myself a lot in, or learned new skills in, is cars. That's another thing.
Get to that.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, every chance I could. It's funny because my sister's not like this. She didn't. Every time my dad was in the garage or my grandpa was in the garage, I was there. Even if I was just watching, I was there. And my sister didn't do that, and now she can't work on her own car.
Well, it's the same with gardening. I remember not only did each of us kids during the summer have our patch of garden, we had to weed in the morning. I can remember long after that going out there and watching Bud, my stepfather, weed and talking to him and talking to him. Yeah. And I would always go back inside and make him a big, big glass of iced tea.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was 30 years old that he told me, that he didn't like iced tea, but he would drink it every single time.
So sweet. Yep, I
I think
remember.
my grandma she taught me a lot of cooking skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'll still to this day call her and be like, Grandma, how do you make pancakes?
Yeah.
Grandma, how do you make gravy? I don't know.
Yeah.
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 I'm still like trying to figure out how my grandfather makes bread because
Yeah.
nobody makes bread
Huh.
for like pepperoni rolls. It's never ever as good as his.
Really?
Wow.
I think that a lot of my skills are self-taught too, like trial and error type of
Right.
things.
Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of my next.
All
All right.
My next way
What's
of
your
learning
next way of
is
learning?
Go.
YouTube.
Yes, YouTube.
So I have learned from YouTube how to fix my washing machine.
Yeah.
Last week I changed the spark plugs and spark plug wires on one of our cars.
Wow.
I taught myself how to crochet using YouTube. I mean, basically, like, I know that we don't love everything about this culture, but
Yeah.
YouTube is a good
Yes, YouTube
way of
is-
learning.
Right, that's amazing. You can find a video about how to fix just about anything.
Yes.
I mean, I looked up the specific make and model of my car,
Yeah.
and there's a video of how to do everything.
Right. When I started trying chalk paint, Annie Sloan chalk paint, I would look up videos and look up, because first of all, I couldn't believe that you didn't have to sand something.
Yeah.
And that they were bringing wax back, because I remember waxing things with my mother and her saying, "Oh, you got to wax this every month. It's such a pain." But now we're doing it all over again,
Yes.
Mom.
Yes.
Now we wax things again.
I mean, before I refinished the hardwood floors in our house, I watched a bunch of different videos on different people
right.
doing it different ways,
Right,
and then I
yeah.
did what worked for me.
Right. And we did our floors with
Yeah, you
Annie
did.
Sloan chalk paint, and
Yeah.
we
You were kind of trailblazing with that.
yeah. So that's why I was going to say we only could find like one video on it, so we actually went
You
into
should have
the.
made your own video.
We should have made our own video.
man.
Darn it!
Man.
Go get a camera.
Dad's doing it right. He's finishing,
He's finishing
right now.
right
Finishing the last room. But we actually went into the little shop, and I won't name it because they closed it already, and took a tutorial there with the owner. And she was pretty much like, "Well, you could try this, but I don't know." And it was trial and error, because the first thing that she said is you might want to sand your floors. So if you're listening to this and you want to put Annie Sloan chalk paint on your hardwood floors, do not sand them. We learned that the hard way, because we sanded some parts of it that there were stained on the floor, and all that did was bring up all the
The stain,
tannins.
Yep.
And
So
so,
it bleeds
yeah,
through
so
the paint. And if you're wondering, her floors are white. She
Yes.
painted them white.
yes, they're white.
They're white.
Heaven forbid you
they're
paint
amazing.
wood.
Yeah.
I know.
We're painting all the wood.
Yeah.
I just painted. Oh my gosh, we just had to paint at church, like the back wall, and so I painted like wood trim black. And I told
Wow.
Sean that I was painting with. I told him, "Don't you dare tell my father I did this." If he asks who painted the wood trim black, it was not me.
Yeah. I know that it's a whole new. Well, it's new to us, but like Kathleen said, she and her mom used to do it all the time. So your mom did it before, is painting the wood, and then there was this whole thing of like, don't touch the wood.
Yes.
Leave the wood
My
as
dad's
it
like
is.
that.
Which I do like natural tones of wood and some things and things like that, but
But some furniture is just ugly.
yeah,
you need to paint it.
some furniture is just really bad. It's really ugly. You just need to paint over it, and so that's what I've just been contemplating doing my table, like thinking about what I'm going to do to my table, because I've already redone one dining room table, and it did not turn out exactly the way that I wanted it to. So I'm learning and
Right.
going at it again, but my thing, and it could be harmful to me, but I always just try things, and usually I mess them up.
Yeah.
But
Well,
then-
and that's one of my
Yeah.
points was is Don't be afraid to mess up.
Yes, don't be afraid to mess
And
up.
it's just paint.
Yeah.
And the table, the library table that we are sitting at, is from a monastery.
Yeah.
And it sat in someone's basement for 30 years.
Wow, yeah.
Just getting ruined. And so it was actually my sister-in-law's father who had this table in his basement. And I just happened to be over there one day when he was cleaning out the basement and saw this table, and I ended up buying it from him. But the top of the table I sanded down and stained walnut. And the bottom, the pedestal bottom with lion claw feet, I painted orange. So we might
they're
have to take them.
lions.
Yeah,
No.
that's right, because it's lion's feet. And we'll have to.
It can be the like picture for this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
we
that,
can take a picture
yeah,
of it. But it's just paint, and the thing
Right.
is, I messed up a couple times when I was doing it, and I didn't like what I was doing, and I would just sand it off or, start over. It's okay.
I completely redid my kitchen with, Rust-Oleum. I don't know if they still have it, but they had a whole kit called the
I did that
Rust-Oleum
too, Lori.
cabinets and countertops.
Yeah.
And I redid my whole kitchen that way. I swore I never would again, but I want to again. And I've never been more thankful for the fact that I did not have a lot of cabinets.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I was most nervous about when I started doing things in my own home was using power tools, because I used to just not do things because I was afraid to use the power tools.
Oh, I'm
Right.
Yeah. But
I'm
then
only afraid of. My dad has like an impact drill. I don't like it.
But then the first,
I'm not
like,
afraid of
even
power
after I just used a drill one time and I was hooked. It was just a drill.
Just like
That's
the
all it
power
was.
sanders. The first time I used it, I
Yeah.
was afraid I was going to like sand the whole
Sanders
table
are the
into-
best.
into
They're my
bits.
favorite. But
Yes, but I love sanders
But
now.
my father-in-law has an abundance of power tools, and whenever like I ask him, like, can I borrow this? He's like, oh yeah, what does Seth want to use it for? I'm like, oh no, it's for me.
I'm going to use it.
I'm going to use it. I'm going to use the table saw. I'm going to use the
And that's another thing. Don't be afraid to ask someone to borrow your tools, because most people just have
They have them
a
just
garage
sitting
full
in
of
there.
tools
Yeah.
sitting around. You don't need to go buy yourself $100 drill.
Yeah.
Right, especially if you just
started.
want to try it first and see if you want to purchase your own.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was use the power sander in my house, and I sanded down my fireplace and redid my fireplace because it was brown.
Right. I remember
sanded it-
that.
yeah.
I remember
I sanded
helping
my
with that.
fireplace down. And then I started making things, like making signs. I made signs for people one Christmas, and I had to use the drill, and I had to use the saw, and all of these kind of things. And also a helpful tip for if you're actually like going to Lowe's and buying wood to use in your home is that you can ask, if you know how long you want your wood to be, then you ask Lowe's and they'll cut your wood for you for free.
Oh, yeah, they will.
Yes, and
They'll just-
plexiglass too.
As much as you want. They'll
Especially
just cut it.
plywood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I like that with plexiglass too, because
Yeah.
some of my end tables I had plexiglass cut for the top of them, so that I could put pictures down,
Yeah.
and then put the plexiglass on top, and then you can see the pictures. And toddlers like to reach under there and pull them out, but it's not glass, so
Especially
it's not
favorite
dangerous.
Another thing that I kind of had to learn was I learned like how to do tile, how to lay tile,
Oh yeah,
because I've redone about 3/4 of my bathroom now, and so another tip that I have for do-it-yourselfing is to not be afraid to look at like thrift stores.
Yes, because you got your bathtub.
Yes, I have an amazing deep whirlpool, not with jets or anything, but it's like a very deep and wide
A soaking tub.
bathtub. Yeah, it's a
Soaking
soaking tub. And I ended up getting it for $50 because
Probably like $500
looked
bathtub.
there, and I told my husband I wanted to go back and get it, so we went back up, and I was like looking at the tag closer, and it had a faint 2 in front of the 50, and I was like, oh, if it's $250, that's too much. I'll just get a smaller tub for less. But I went and talked to the guys, and he was like, it had tape stuck all over it, like it sat in a warehouse.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, maybe it was in the heat, and the tape stuck to it. He was like, well, nobody really wants it because it's got all that tape stuck to it. He was like, I'll give it to you for $50. And I was like, okay.
Yes.
So I spent 2 hours scraping the tape off with a razor blade, and I got an amazing bathtub.
Yeah, I got
Right.
my dining room table for with dining room table with 4 chairs for $50.
Yeah.
At a thrift store.
Right, and don't be afraid also to look on your local yard sale page or Craigslist, because I got my clawfoot tub.
Yeah.
Because one of my friends, Sarah
$400.
Haynes, let me know that she saw it, and we got it for $100, and we're pretty sure we bought it from the people that owned it, but the way the deal went down,
It was pretty shady.
it was pretty shady.
They're
But
all Craigslist deals.
Man, I haven't had good luck with Craigslist.
but
I have friends, though.
my husband actually refinished that tub, did copper on the outside, and redid the legs, and
Yeah.
it is now in my bathroom, and I love
It
it.
doesn't have
And
duckies on the bottom anymore.
Nope,
but
it does
it's
not.
totally worth it to
Yes. To take
look
your
a little
time
bit,
and look.
look a little bit harder. And that's something I've been really excited about, having my own house now,
Yeah.
because we rented for a few years and we had to live with family for half a year. Now I can be like more choosy
Right.
about the things I have in my house, and I have the time and the space to make them look the way I want them. So
Right,
just
and-
take your time. You don't have to hurry up and like buy. I mean, I like IKEA stuff, but you don't have to like buy just the cheapest stuff just to fill your house.
Yeah.
You can just take a
right.
little bit of time.
And speaking of home ownership and home projects, can Lori tell her story of her? This is when I first met Lori, and I was hosting a mom's tea, and she comes in and tells a story about her bathroom and a sledgehammer.
I'm really excited.
So I was like,
think I've
okay,
heard
who
this
is
one.
this lady?
Honestly, all I wanted to do was paint my bathroom. That's all I wanted to do.
That's how it always starts.
That's how
That's exactly.
Well, I was wiping the walls down to start painting, and I noticed that, some around the tub, the walls felt a little soft. So I was looking, and I was like, moisture has been trapped in there, and it's kind of getting a little bit moldy around there. So I start breaking away, and before I know it, like half the wall's missing.
Oh my God.
On both sides of the tub, and then I'm like, well, now I have to rip up all the flooring. I ripped up all the flooring that we had laying down.
And what did your husband
I
say?
took out all the caulking around the tub because I wanted it redone. And then my husband came home and he didn't like me very much.
Why?
He put. Do you guys know what green board is?
Yeah.
We put it in basements a lot. We have it in our basement. Well, we had some left over from when we redid our basement. We decided to put it around the tub to keep it from, collecting moisture like that again. So he did all of that for me, and I kept asking him. I was like standing in the hallway.
Sorry, we had an issue with our computer, but we're back. Lori was talking about tearing out her bathroom and how her husband had to do
The green
repair.
board.
Yeah, her boards. But anyways, I wanted to say that you probably saved your husband a whole lot of money by doing the demolition yourself.
Yeah, I like to destroy things.
Can you believe people pay people to demolish their
Just
stuff?
give me a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it myself most of the time.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, give me a sledgehammer. So we were just going to kind of go over a couple more of our points. One of the points I had written down was let your project reflect your character, your personality. So here we are talking about Well, Carly was talking about ripping up her kitchen when we realized it wasn't recording.
Yeah.
But if doing some of the things that we're talking about don't reflect your personality, then don't do them. Find out what reflects your personality.
And Amory, talk about your first house a little bit.
Yeah, I was just, before we found out that it wasn't recording, I was saying that I painted all the walls in my house colors that I wasn't really sure if I wanted, just because they were other colors that other people...
Right. She was a newlywed, their first house, and she was very influenced by her mother-in-law and her mother's tastes, and she was just trying to
emulate.
I can say that because I'm her mother.
And so I painted it all, and I even got all of my furniture and that taste and style and things like that. And then I was sitting in my house, like, literally 3 years later. It was this moment for me. That's why I say that. It was this moment. I was sitting and I was holding my newborn, and I looked all around my house, and I was like, I hate my house. I hate it. And so I told Seth, he got home from work, and I was like, I hate our house. And he was like, what? And so I explained to him why. And so literally that day, I started, like, talking about selling my couch, because I had this big, huge, I mean, 2 people could lay on it. Brown couch. Yeah, and it was a very nice couch. Yeah, it was a very, very nice couch. It wasn't like tacky or anything. It was just a really nice couch. It wasn't my style. So I started talking about selling it. I sold my couch in that week to my mother-in-law, actually.
Who picked it out in the first place?
She always just wanted it. And then I went and I picked out a couch that I wanted with the money that I got from selling my couch. And then I went to Lowe's. It was close to Christmas time, because my first Cecilia was born in November, and so that's when I was sitting on my couch. And so around Christmas time, when people were asking me, oh, what do you want for Christmas? I told them Lowe's gift cards. And then I took all the Lowe's gift cards everybody got me, and I went and I bought paint for my whole entire house. And
paint it all white.
To paint it all white. That's me. White with pops of little nice pretty colors everywhere.
So that might not be your style,
right?
But don't be afraid to find what you like.
Yeah, and don't think that you can't do it either with new like little kids, because I would only paint for like 20 minutes at a time. When my kid would sleep, I would just run. I left my paint clothes on all day, and I would put Celia to sleep. And then I would run downstairs and paint until she woke up, and then I would have to stop. So I redid.
Well, that was actually something I was going to say. That painting is actually something that's easier and will brighten and change things around a bit. Just when you're in the middle of motherhood,
because
and
you can do
multiple kids and multiple ages.
Because you can do little bits at a time.
Yeah, you can do.
You don't have to do the trim at the same time as the wall.
A paint project.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes me kind of crazy then, because a lot of the furniture I painted when the kids were young, because that's a de-stressor for me.
Yeah.
One of the things that I even do now, like if I finish a writing project, then immediately I'm doing a project with paint. I'm painting a piece of furniture, sanding down a piece of furniture, because it's a de-stressor for me.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, when the kids were little, I could do that little by little.
Yeah, you can even.
I think tearing out plaster and lath has become one of my de-stressors.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why I'm just replacing it slowly in our house.
Yeah.
With drywall.
Yeah.
Well, and my personality, if I start something, I gotta finish it. So trying a big project with little kids was not an option for me, because I'd get really frustrated.
Yeah. Right. Well,
I wouldn't be able to finish it.
I think it also depends on how you grew up and your personality, because like I was saying earlier, when my stepfather retired from the military and we moved from Colorado to West Virginia and bought a farmhouse, then I was living in a remodel through all the way through middle school and junior high and high school. It was constant. It was just part of our lifestyle. Yeah. So it's still part of my lifestyle. I'm not tearing out walls or anything, but I'm always doing another project. So, and it's just, I'm used to it.
Well, I lived through my parents building their current house, and my grandfather was the general contractor on that project. So, like, they did a lot themselves. They had a builder, but after that, it was pretty much all.
Yeah.
And so I definitely got that from them.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not the type of people to pay someone to come fix their toilet.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the way that my stepfather Bud was, and I remember when we added on the addition, and it was the same size as the house, so we like doubled our space,
Yeah.
and so we had this subfloor down just with framing, and my brother Jess was 2 years old at the time, and that toddler could hammer a nail in with one hit. And what Bud used to do is he put a harness on Jess, and he nailed the end of the harness to the floor so that Jess had this circle of like 10 feet.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll tell you what, underneath that hardwood flooring and that subfloor, there's probably 100 nails.
So that was the 80s. We don't recommend that.
Okay, we might get in trouble for that now. He didn't even have a helmet on.
You can let a kid hammer.
Well, I mean, my 2-year-old, when I was painting at church last week, he likes to climb up the ladder underneath me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm like, excuse me, I need to get down now. And he's like, why? Because I'm done. You need to... So, yeah.
So you can
Well,
do
I
projects.
think JR is going to be really well versed in patching up holes by the time he becomes an adult. Because that's all I do.
We have-
whenever-
yes.
right now, is I go around after him whenever he accidentally puts another hole in the wall. So
Just
now
imagine,
he
Lori,
knows how
not-
to do it.
Yeah.
Just imagine not knowing how to patch drywall.
I know. I have to get somebody to do it for me every time. I had to figure it out for myself.
Well, and the worst ones are all those little airsoft holes where they accidentally
Oh, yes,
shot the
yes.
airsoft gun
Yeah.
into the wall. Ha ha ha.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Or
but
if
that's
someone gets angry and takes a hammer to a door.
But that's a good point to make, is that one of the things that the Nestor makes in her books is that you can cover up holes in
yeah.
drywall really easily. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to just hang things on your, don't sit there and have something sitting there for years and you're like, I want to hang this up, but I'm not really sure if this is where I want it to go.
Right, and
I'm
we
gonna
all know
wanna
those
move it.
people who won't
thing-
hang anything up.
My dad is that way.
Yeah.
Because the house I grew up in before they built their current house had plaster walls, and he was afraid to make holes in the plaster walls because it cracks.
Yes.
And so now, even though he has drywall, he still very, very rarely hangs things. But the day I read that page
Yeah.
in the nesting
Yeah.
place, we were renting, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hang our wedding pictures, and I put holes in the wall, and I hung up our wedding pictures, and
Yep.
I was so much happier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I told my sister because they're renting right now, and they have this crazy rule. They're allowed to have like 4 holes in the wall.
Oh my goodness.
They're allowed to make 4 holes in the wall. I was like, Cassie, I have drywall putty,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
I can match the paint of your wall.
Yeah.
It takes like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
To
It's
cover
really
up a hole,
easy.
a nail
Yeah.
hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
easy.
I don't think my husband, I think my husband comes home every week and asks me, what's this hole from? I'm like, oh, I tried something there. It didn't work.
Well,
so
if
I'm
you
gonna
paint
do
your
it.
walls white, then you don't even have
You
to
don't-
paint over drywall
Yeah,
putty.
you just,
Right.
You just-
you just blend it in.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
So,
You have any more points?
no, we hit them all.
Okay.
So,
Oh, yeah, I did have one more. I don't know if I said this one. Wishing is not doing.
Oh, yes.
Because, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
people will come over to my house and say, I love how you painted this, or I wish I could do this, or I wish. And it's like, wishing is not doing. And I'm not saying that anybody has to be exactly like me or like anybody on the team. But if there's something that you really want to do in your home, whether it's paint a piece of furniture, whether it's sand down the hardwood floors, update your bathroom, just find out how to do it and start it.
Just do it.
Just be like Lori and get out that
Yeah.
sledgehammer and take down the
If you-
wall.
everyone has access to YouTube.
If you are on the edge of whether you should do it, I want you to go to YouTube, type in Shia LaBeouf motivation video, and take his advice. Just do it.
Just do it. And the thing is, if it's, if there's that piece of furniture that Carly was talking about, it's just too ugly just to be wood, and you paint it and you finish it and you're like, I don't like this color, it's okay. It's just paint.
it again, or
Paint
find
it
someone
again.
who likes it that way.
Yeah,
Yes.
and sell it.
Right
Sell
now,
it to
I'm
them.
on the edge of, I literally want to rip up all my carpet and paint whatever is underneath.
Do it.
My sister did that in
I
her
will
old
say-
house.
Yeah.
So when I refinished hardwood floors, it's like a time-consuming process. I would do it again, but there was like a few hours that I think I was sanding the edges, and I was like, because my floors were painted previously, I was sanding paint off, and who knows how many layers. But there was a small frame of time when I was like, oh my gosh, I think I understand why people paint their floors.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can paint your floors. I mean,
Yeah.
Right. Well,
I knew what I
was going to
wanted.
say.
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted because we had rented a beach house that had these weathered white floors, and I said, I want that. But I will tell you that my Pilates served me very, very well when I was painting, because you have to like get the whole board all the way down, and you're standing on one foot.
Yes.
You're doing the half moon
so you need
pose.
some exercise too. Paint your floors.
All I know is what I don't want, and that's my carpets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just do it,
After
Lori.
we finish
We're all going to
recording this.
Lori's.
That was the first thing I did when we
Gonna
closed
rip up
on our
carpet.
house.
Yeah.
I went to the house with my new keys and I ripped up the floor and ripped up the carpet
Yes.
Yeah.
in the living room.
Maybe I'll start with the hallway.
Yeah.
So I do want to say that if you're listening, you should send us a picture. Message us a picture
Yes.
of something you're working on, something you have worked on yourself, or something that you want to work on. Maybe we could give you a tip,
Yeah.
and maybe we can share with some of our listeners
Maybe we
some
can
cool
encourage
things that
you.
our listeners are doing.
Yes, we can share what you're doing, and we'll
Yeah.
make sure we share some photos of things that we have done.
Yeah,
I'll try and find before and after pictures of my old
I'm
house.
so bad at that.
Me too.
Though we love doing things ourselves, we're really bad at taking before and after
We are.
pictures.
Yes.
We've
I did
even,
do my
like,
dining
finished-
room table this time,
Yeah.
remember? I
Yeah.
did
We
take
finished
before and
projects,
after
and we're
pictures.
like, wait a minute, did you take a picture before? And we're like, oh, no,
no.
whoops.
Whoops.
So yeah, thanks for joining us here, and we look forward to seeing your projects. Bye.
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 We're so glad you could join us here for the Whole House podcast. Please subscribe, and if you give us a review, we might pick our favorite and send you a prize. Please remember to like the Whole House Facebook page and follow us on Instagram at _whole_house. And please sign up with your email on our website, thewholehouse.org, to be notified when new things are happening here at the Whole House. Thanks so much for listening.